the reality is that guy's partying, and he's partying real hard. And he talked about it in the court case. You know, he's talking about cocaine. Like that was the whole thing, that we're all doing cocaine.
Saying is this: when you knock a champion who's been that dominant and that good for 10 years out in 14 seconds,
13.
there is a question, which is, was that in some ways a fluke?
Joe Rogan, the UFC legend, has just slammed the idea of a Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor fight, pointing out what many seem to overlook. Rogan isn't a fan of the whole YouTuber-turned-boxer trend, and Jake Paul in particular seems to think he can handle McGregor, a fighter who's been struggling to regain his footing since his bout with Mayweather.
That's him now. He's super jacked.
He looks like a bodybuilder.
See, that's what he looks like now. He's still jacked. Still looks great. He looks good, though.
Whoa. He looks so old now. He looks different.
Perhaps the most important fight of your career. Give us your thoughts on this rematch. He should have killed me when he had the chance, because now I'm back and I'm going to kill you and your whole team. You and their kids. Just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants. But I dreamed into reality.
Rogan is here to remind everyone that Jake Paul isn't the unstoppable force he seems to think he is. Sure, the guy has millions of followers and even more confidence, but does that really mean he stands a chance at knocking out a fighter like McGregor?
Don't aspire to be, you know, one of these like YouTuber fighters.
Right.
Aspire for world titles.
Let's dive into Rogan's fiery take on the Paul versus McGregor spectacle. This is going to be quite the journey.
And that is that a lot of fighters, when they've sustained a significant amount of damage.
This wasn't about dissecting strengths or predicting a winner. It was Joe Rogan's chance to let loose and have some fun with the spectacle. First off, Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer, seems to be having a blast, trolling everyone, and Rogan didn't hold back on sharing his thoughts. He outright called Jake a master troll. Credit where it's due, though. Jake's marketing skills are top-notch. He's like a circus ringmaster, drawing everyone's attention, even if it's just to watch the chaos. When it comes to Jake's boxing career, Rogan doesn't sugarcoat it. He acknowledges that Jake has knocked out some big names, though most are well past their prime. Fighters like Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, and Anderson Silva. According to Rogan, if Jake weren't a YouTuber, people might actually take his boxing career more seriously. Still, Rogan admits Jake has genuine power in his punches, even if his competition hasn't exactly been world-class.
Now I think people are coming around. I say, if this kid was not a YouTuber, if he wasn't some guy that you knew from the time he was like 16 years old on YouTube, and you just saw him box, and you saw him knock out former UFC champions, you saw him beat legitimate boxers, or beat athletes, and beat a bunch of MMA fighters, you'd go, this kid can fight. He knows how to fight. It's not, nothing he's doing looks wrong. He's not like sticking his head straight up in the air and winging punches with his eyes closed. He's fighting well.
Then there's Conor McGregor, the former UFC golden boy who's been on a downward spiral for some time now. Ever the straight shooter, Rogan didn't mince words about McGregor's fall from grace. According to him, McGregor's biggest downfall wasn't a lack of skill. It was his own self-destructive tendencies. All the fame and fortune hit McGregor like a ton of bricks. When he was at the top of his game, he was unstoppable, constantly bragging and trash-talking. But somewhere along the way, it all went to his head. The partying, the excess, it caught up with him. All right. Sure, McGregor is still in incredible shape, but that's not enough to cover up the mess his life has become. Legal troubles, failed business ventures, and a tarnished reputation have turned his once glorious image into a cautionary tale. It's been a real train wreck. I recognize that.
He looks good, and if he was just an up-and-coming boxer that was this exciting, like highly promotable, like really good at selling fights, you'd be like, this kid's the future.
Rogan doesn't hold back when it comes to McGregor. This was the guy who was supposed to be the greatest, the one destined to dominate the sport. And for a while he did. knocking out Jose Aldo in just 13 seconds, becoming the first fighter to hold 2 UFC titles simultaneously. McGregor had the world at his feet. But as Rogan points out, the story didn't end there. McGregor hit his peak and then began to unravel, from trashing buses to bizarre altercations with other fighters and acting like a circus act both inside and outside the cage. His fall from grace has been nothing short of chaotic. It's been an entertaining spectacle, sure, but also undeniably tragic.
I don't know if Conor's ever going to fight again.
What's happening with his the civil suit? He's being dropped by all his companies or something.
Yeah, I don't know the real details of that case, but the reality is that guy's partying, and he's partying real hard.
Let's talk about the infamous bus incident. Yes, the one where McGregor hurled a metal dolly at a bus full of his UFC rivals. Rogan's take? It was classic chaotic McGregor behavior, and honestly, no one should have been surprised. The stunt landed McGregor in serious legal trouble, which, let's be real, doesn't exactly scream world champion material. But Rogan doesn't stop at just calling out McGregor's antics. He dives deeper, criticizing McGregor's lack of focus and his now infamous partying lifestyle. There's been plenty of talk about wild nights, alleged cocaine use, and a general embrace
Which
of
is
debauchery.
Dylan Dennis is a professional
Sure,
fighter.
McGregor says he's
professional
trying to
fighter.
make a
He jumps out, he takes
comeback.
swing at him.
But
They're
with all his
screaming, Dylan's
personal
like,
and
"You,"
legal
he's like,
issues
"You," and there's
piling
a
up,
bunch of people.
it's hard to take him seriously. At this point, he seems to be swerving into every lane but the fighting one. And so now European
Get involved,
warriors
and then
of
a bunch of
various
other people
forms
jump in.
go out to meet
The
this
whole
guy.
thing was
and I
nuts.
hope
But
they
the
successfully
idea that we
find
should
a
be
post,
shocked
take 2 of
after
them
he-
instead of 1. Whoa, why do they try to frame me for a lifelong violent criminal?
Who accused the mixed martial arts fighter Conor McGregor of killing her in a hotel in Dublin 6 years ago, has won a civil case against him. The jury has found McGregor liable and ordered him to pay Nikita Hand €250,000 in damages.
And then there's the not-so-small issue of McGregor's legal troubles. From losing sponsors to facing a civil suit, his career has become a whirlwind of chaos. A woman in Dublin accused him of assault, and needless to say, it hasn't been the PR boost he needed. Rogan doesn't just gloss over this. He gives it the weight it deserves. McGregor's life is a complete mess, and it's taking a toll on his legacy. Sure, McGregor can keep posting cryptic Instagram videos of himself working out, but let's be honest, he's not the same. The fire, the passion, and the charisma that once made him a superstar, all gone.
UFC fighter Conor McGregor has been accused of sexually assaulting a woman after an NBA basketball game in Miami earlier this month. A legal letter outlining the allegations was sent to Mr. McGregor and seen by BBC News. It says the alleged assault took place in a bathroom at an arena in Miami. The woman's lawyer said she'd been watching Game 4 of the finals on Friday the 9th of June before the alleged incident happened. She alleged the woman was forced into a men's bathroom by security guards from the NBA and Miami Heat before being violently assaulted by Mr. McGregor.
And there's all the talk about McGregor's comeback. Sure, he's teasing it, but it's hard to take seriously when everything he touches seems to fall apart. After his gruesome leg injury in 2021, fans were left questioning whether the McGregor of old would ever return. The reality? McGregor isn't just recovering physically. He's buried under a mountain of other problems. With so much chaos in his life, no one can say for sure what his future holds. Rogan, however, isn't feeling optimistic. Between the endless drama and McGregor's focus seemingly more on partying than training, his return to form looks like a long shot.
Good match for Conor. Is that ever happening? Or
I don't know if Conor's ever going to fight again.
what's happening with his he just got like the civil suit
Yeah.
or whatever, and he's being dropped by all his
Yep.
companies or something.
Yeah.
Not so fast. Rogan, ever the realist, pointed out that Jake Paul isn't just some washed-up social media personality trying to punch above his weight. Sure, he started as a YouTuber, but Rogan isn't dismissing him. In fact, after watching Jake's performance against Tyron Woodley, Rogan called him legit. No more jokes about Jake not being a real fighter. Joe admitted that Paul has serious knockout power if you're not careful. While Rogan acknowledges that Jake's fight IQ isn't on par with elite UFC fighters, he's quick to remind everyone that Jake is out here competing in a real sport. The guy's been sparring with pro boxers and working alongside names like Canelo Alvarez and Ryan Garcia. Jake Paul isn't messing around in the gym. He's putting in the work and proving he's more than just hype.
As a boxer?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And listen, what Jake Paul has accomplished is he's fighting old guys.
Yes.
He's fighting, all he fights are old guys and whatever. But listen, say what you want, he wins. And he makes money. So he's doing his thing, you know.
Don't get Joe wrong. He's still giving McGregor the benefit of the doubt when it comes to his striking. After all, McGregor made his name with precision and devastating power. But the situation is a bit more complicated than that. Since the Mayweather fight, McGregor's life has been all about excess. It's not just the money and fame, but the toll it's taken on him. McGregor's been through more than people realize, both inside and outside the cage. He was living his best life, sure, but not in a way that was good for his career. Partying, injury setbacks, the leg break, public meltdowns, all of it has added up, leaving a fighter who's no longer in his prime. And so, Rogan believes a huge part of McGregor's downfall was his inability to resist the temptations of the lavish lifestyle his success afforded him. In Rogan's view, McGregor's self-destruction wasn't just about aging, it was about having too much money, too much fame, and not enough discipline to stay on track.
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. You know what? If I made my money impressing 4-year-olds on YouTube and managed to somehow become a multimillionaire from it, I'd probably live in a dream world too. But let me explain something to you about combat sports. There are a whole bunch of men out here who will never be as famous as you, will never make the money you've made, who would kick the living fuck out of you. This is the hardest sport in the world, and people dedicate their lives to this, and most of them never get a payday. It never pays off for the majority of fighters, who would fuck you up.
So, what's the bottom line? Is Jake Paul capable of beating McGregor in a boxing ring? According to Joe Rogan, it's not out of the question. McGregor has been through too many wars, injuries, and distractions. Meanwhile, Jake has been putting in serious work, improving not just his boxing skills, but also his mental game. McGregor might still be a force on his best day, but how many of those best days does he have left? Rogan may not have a definitive answer, but his commentary makes it clear. Jake Paul isn't the joke people think he is, and McGregor's time may have passed. So what if